Finishers MMA, finishersmma.com, @finishers. That's how you find them on social media. These guys have a show with us every Monday called Now We Go. You can check it out. Zach, JM, Thor, Grace, there's too many to name that come out of that school, and they are killers in the game. They are the biggest MMA jiu-jitsu school in the area, and they are owning the East Coast. You can contact them at 610-438-0746. Ask for Andrew. They are at 3761 Nicholas Street in Easton, PA. They have 2 locations as of now, Bethlehem and Allentown. They are growing into 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say they are taking over, but they already have. Check them out on all of their social media. They are awesome to follow. And if you're looking to get in shape, you're looking to choke people, you're looking to do anything at all to better your life, finishersmma.com. AllValleyRooter.net. That's not how you pronounce it all the time. I just say it that way. All Valley Rooter, Jared LaBarba. He is my plumber. He's the show's plumber. I'm getting him plumbing business all over, and I love that he is getting what he wants. He has 24-hour emergency service. He is certified, insured, and professional. You can follow him at All Valley Rooter. He's on social media, and you can find his information at allvalleyrooter.net. Jared came down over the weekend and he fixed a problem down here. He's super professional. I love him as a person. I love his business. He grew it, and he's doing his own thing. It's allvalleyrooter.net. It's 24-hour professional plumbing services. He can help you out with everything you need. It's 610-762-1656. He's certified, insured, and professional. Do not be afraid to contact him for any of your plumbing needs. Support Jared. Jared supports us. Luke Delmeyer Handmade Custom Knives. I love Luke. It's lukedelmeyer.com. He's a farrier, a bladesmith, and a blacksmith. He has custom knives, and the best part about it is you can take classes to make them. So not only can you take a class to learn how to make knives, at the end of the class, you get that knife. We're working on a project together. He started recently getting into chef knives, so he's starting to make chef knives. He makes hunting knives. He can make any of your needs as far as blacksmithing. That's at Luke Delmeyer on Instagram. That is the best way to follow him. You can see all the stuff that he's posting. He shares, he does raffles, he gives giveaways. Check out all things Luke Delmeyer at lukedelmeyer.com. We've had him on the show before. You can dig down in the library, listen to how he got started and where he's at now. I'm excited to work with Luke. He's a really good friend of the show, and I'm excited to showcase his chef knife that he's making me. Check out all things Luke Delmeyer at lukedelmeyer.com. Farrier, bladesmith, blacksmith. Rips Auto Detail. This guy is the best, hands down, in the area. I've interviewed him. I know his story. He's doing things that others aren't, and I love that he fucks with the show. I love getting the best of the best and having them support and be a part of this. That's what the sponsorship is for. I'm giving you the best people in their profession, and Rips is the best at auto detail. It's at Rips Auto Detail for Instagram. You follow that. He's showing you the different cars he does, and it's at 630 North Nelson Street in Allentown, PA. He offers paint correction, ceramic, SPS coatings, and more. This is appointment only, and it's ripsautodetail@gmail.com. You can call him at 484-553-1366. I tell you, follow him. If you don't know, you want to know more about what he does, follow him on Instagram. Follow Rips Auto Detail, and you can see all the things that Rip does. He's a big part of the show. We have a separate show we do called Road Dogs, and you can check out his past interviews and hear his whole story. I couldn't recommend this guy more for your auto, car, boat, plane. This guy literally has done everything, and he is the best in the area doing this. Rips Auto Detail. Never Again radio episode. We might even be at 180 at this point. Welcome to Never Again Radio. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. It's always so weird when I just meet the person, and then it's not weird, but like, You're a fun person.
I think so. I think I'm
no.
pretty cool.
It's usually within like the first 30 seconds of meeting somebody or getting on the phone. I kind of know how the interview is going to go. This is not going to be a problem interviewing you. I started seeing you through the social media of 10th Planet, and then a lot of the guys were just kind of sharing your social media, and I started following you, and you looked really fun. And then I kind of was just curious on how you got into mixed martial arts and kind of like where your career started, so I figured I would bring you on and kind of dig into who you are as a person.
Yeah, cool. Super thanks. Thanks for bringing me on. Thinking I'm cool. I started mixed martial arts in Gillette, Wyoming. It's crazy that you're jumping up and down that you haven't heard of it, but it's an awesome little town in the corner of like the north corner of Wyoming, northeastern corner of Wyoming, under South Dakota, and close to Montana. Like, it's just a weird little spot. And Ring Wars was like a local promotion that came around. Matt DeWolf ran it, and he brought in a local like famous like people to meet at the time, and it was Spencer Fisher. And I was working at like a beer garden, and it was an outdoor event kind of thing.
What did you do at the beer garden?
I was a bartender. Well, I was a bartender normally. I was probably pissed because they put me at the beer garden. I was probably throwing a tantrum. Like,
when did you start bartending? I used to be a very shy person, and bartending will take that out of you.
Oh, right away.
Yeah, but then it was cool because it's like I would meet girls, and then you see your regulars. I liked bartending too. I got old enough to realize that I hated bartending.
I have some of my best friends came because of bartending.
Yeah,
and
you meet a ton of people.
It's like one of those jobs you can never get away from. People are like, you want to make $400? I'm like, yep.
Yeah, the money was always awesome because you made what most people make in a week and a night.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to work a couple nights in a row, or you could just work one night and be done.
Yeah. And if you're bad at bartending, you just act like you can't hear, and you're just like, Miller Lite? It's like, no, I'm just kidding.
Or they'd be like, you really, like, this tastes like gasoline. I'm like, you'll be fine.
Oh, I'll try
Who's
again.
driving?
I'll try again.
Yeah. When I first started, I used to get, and I'm sure there was probably a drink that always would screw you up, but the Long Island, like, because of Jack and Coke, but then the Long Island, they'd always be like, it's everything on the rail. And I'm like, here you go. And then once in a blue moon, someone would be like, this is great. And I'm like, yeah.
You're an alcoholic.
But you liked bartending?
Oh, yeah. It led me into a lot of things. And I'm kind of like one of those, I kind of faked it till I made it with bartending. Yeah. And it's kind of just something that you pick up and you can always do. I think it's a great thing. It leads you into covering like a social life in the area too. Like, I moved into this area and I picked up a couple of shifts and I met a bunch of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that was my follow-up, and I always tell everybody with cooking and bartending, it's a skill set that you can take and do anywhere.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Virginia, I went and applied at a whiskey bar, and they were like, well, what can you do? And I was like, I bartend and I cook. And then they're like, cool, do you want to pick up double shifts? And then, like, moving into a city and having to get money for an apartment, and like, that's like a whole thing that if you've never done is really overwhelming. But to be able to just walk into a bar and be like, hey, or like I visited my brother, and I had already talked to the guy that if I came into town, would he hire me? And he's like, yeah, because you always need a bartender and you always need a cook. And
somebody that can communicate with like anybody that comes up, like I can have a conversation too. So like that's important in a bartender too. But I've made a ton of money. I made a whole life on that while I was doing MMA. It was such a compliment to like do, because I could train in the morning and then bartend at night, and
it was enough money to carry you over.
Yeah, I mean, I got tipped well. I sold tickets too, because my bosses always loved that I was a fighter because it's a communication starter.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
So like, I basically got every job as a bartender just because I was like, yeah, I fight too.
You want me to fuck somebody up?
You want me to drop that? I just drop that as like a resume. I always make sure to include that in a resume for bartending. But
yeah.
Then it's like a ticket seller too, because then you're like, oh, Bob, are you going to be at my fight? GA is 25. You spent that much on gin and cokes. You know what I mean? Or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, and I always forget that the whole ticket selling thing, but that would work out perfect with bartending because you would have rotating people in, or if you had regulars that would also come to your fights, you would be able to grab them to buy your tickets while they were there.
They'd buy the walkout shirt. They'd buy everything.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm making a walkout shirt too. Yeah, it's definitely a hustle when you're growing in that sport. And like, then a promoter wants to pay you more because you bring 6,000 likes or whatever the fuck you bring. You know what I mean? So it complemented it all really well, you know, at the time. And I still enjoy like communicating to the locals with it, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's that bar barrier. It's like, don't you fucking cross my line. This is my line.
Yeah.
Oh, but we can talk about it, you know.
The worst thing that happened to me, it wasn't the worst thing, but a guy came into a bar I was working at. And my friends were all around him, and he didn't know. And I cut him off, and he threw a drink in my face. You ever have like that experience like that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I had a weird experience, and this was in Gillette, Wyoming, too. Just it's a little more country up there, you know what I mean? Like people just get down with it. But
I'm just picturing Tombstone.
No, I mean, pretty much. But yeah, like I was bartending. I think everybody was like, more, and I was pouring all these drinks, and this guy smacked his lady, and all I did was like break them up, you know, nothing like insane. I think I maybe hopped over the bar. I was like, hey. But yeah, you get pulled into weird things, and then so
I always got pulled into like relationship drama.
Oh my god!
But like the same people, they'd be there, and then after a certain point, they would publicly argue, and then you have to be like Dr. Phil and
good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have been pulled into that, or like you have a guest that comes visits you, but somebody's mad at you that they visit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There is because I forgot. I'm like I did it for a while, but then you forget all because I remember like the money. Like I remember like the first time like I worked a shift by myself, and I knew like I had over $300-400 in tips, and like my body hurt because like but I like had 2 pitcher mugs. Like I knew halfway, like I was like, we're making money, and I remember like dumping it all out after my shower and counting it on the carpet. But you remember that stuff, but you forget.
Yeah.
Like doing couples therapy and
cutting
you have to go
people
through a lot
off.
Of stuff
And I used to work when I first moved to Denver, so I was gonna be a fighter, you know.
So you were training and then moved to Denver?
I trained in Gillette, Wyoming, and and then Maureen Riordan. I was supposed to fight this girl, Maureen Riordan. We're friends now, you know, or I guess acquaintances. You know, we're not like friends, but she was the big deal back then, you know. And I was just this person from Gillette, and my coach was like, "You're not ready," and I was like, "Oh, I'm ready." I remember he's like, I told him no, but I went, I'm such an asshole, dude. I went and I told him yes. And then I got like 2 other people in Gillette and we did secret training.
Oh my God, what were you thinking?
I was going to win. I was the next fucking thing. Nobody knew about me yet, you know, and they were going to find out. And, this girl from Casper saw the poster come up. This is like at the beginning of like super social media and stuff. And this is like a long time ago. And they had the poster come up, and I was like waiting for this time for my coach to call me. But I was driving there. And then Jeremy Hart was fighting back then. He was a pro fighter, old days. And I can't remember who else came with, but they came with. And yeah, on the way down, my coach was like, "You're going to lose this fight." And I was like,
so wait, you signed up behind his back, and then you were doing the secret training, but then he had to also train you because he's like, "What the fuck, man?" It's like you fucking signed up, and now we got to go through this shit.
He didn't come.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I had these people I put together do it. So when I lost my first amateur bout, and it was my first commission bout, because Wyoming and South Dakota didn't have a commission then.
Yeah.
You know, for amateurs and all and pros. And I cut to 145. I've been this big since like 5th grade, you know, I've been this tall, but I cut to 145, terrible experience. And my coach is like, "You're going to lose." And so I get into the hotel room that they give me to fight their champion or whatever. And all my friends are like, "We're in Denver. We're going to go party."
Oh my God.
And they left me in this room and I'm like, I'm going to lose. Fucking hilarious, dude. I did lose, but I would have won. You know, that's what every fighter says. They made this huge deal about her ground game because I think she was in like 2 grappling tournaments.
Yeah.
And we get all the way to the ground. And I let her back up because I was like, ah.
Yeah. How old were you?
Like 23.
Yeah. Where does that come from? Where you just sign up for it, you know, behind his back, like you know?
I don't know. I was like, he told me no, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
He didn't. He told me I wasn't ready, but I was the next champion in my head.
Yeah.
And I never did that again. I never.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure when you went
hilarious.
back, there was probably a long conversation.
I think he kicked me off the team. No, he didn't. Like those kind of lessons you learn in fighting. Like you can't just go book a fight without your coaches knowing about it. It would be hilarious to talk to all of them now because I know Mario was my head coach in La Familia fight team in Gillette, Wyoming.
You need to make those shirts.
I have them still.
Those need to be your fight shirts.
It's fucking hilarious. But after that, I got a little taste of Denver training, and it was a 6-hour drive. That was the big city, you know. I'm 22 or whatever. My son was going to kindergarten, and I was just like, I'm gonna do it. And I moved. My parents, I think, loaned me the money to get my apartment in Denver and like get this like MMA fresh start in Denver. And I was like, my dad, I remember my parents weren't broke up yet. My dad was like, Brittney, you have 1 month of us paying for your rent.
My parents did that to me.
They're like, you got to get a job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just get a bartending job. Anywhere.
Well, did they know that you weren't going to give up on this and like it was something that you were like completely following, that they backed you as parents? Because I mean, some parents don't do that at all.
My dad has been excited about it more since my parents got a divorce. My mom hasn't been sold till I fought Clarissa Shields. After I fought Clarissa, my mom was like, "Oh, now I see why you do it. I can get it. I understand."
Yeah.
So my mom has a real thick accent and she talks like that exactly. So it's funny. So the whole time I would call her and I'd be like, I have another fight, and she'd be like, is it a punch and a kick kind? And I would be like,
how do you answer that?
I would be like, no, it's a grappling bout, Mom. And she'd be like, oh, good. You're not very good at the punch and the kick kind. she would.
Your mom's terrific.
She's wonderful, dude. But then when I fought Clarissa, she was so proud. You know, like finally, after 10, 12 years of it.
Yeah, so you're in Denver now at that point, and you're just kind of continuing to kind of grow. And
so they let me, I get a job bartending down the street in Denver, and
you're like, I'm a fighter.
This is like Kat Zingano was coming up back in the day. She was, the big deals. And it was like always a dream. I trained with all the grudge training guys. Like actually I was training at 303 Training Center and then the deal was they go to jiu-jitsu with us, and then we would go to Grudge Training Center and spar with them. And so, like, I got to train with some of the amazing up-and-comers back then. And then eventually, I went to Elevation Fight Team, trained off them for a long time. And I just retired out of them because I broke my arm, and then I moved here, and I've been working events before it for a while, and that's how I ended up here.
Yeah. Now, when you were training in Denver, or just kind of to peel it back as to when you first started training originally, what made you get into it?
Wow. I've always been nuts, like just a little ha-ha,
Yeah, no, you're super fun.
Yeah, but
you can come on anytime.
I mean, I don't know, I'm a country girl, and they seriously, like Spencer Fisher and Matt just came up to me and they were like, I was working that beer garden. They were like, you look like a fighter. And I was like, yeah, I do look like a fighter.
You're like, absolutely.
I am
motherfucker.
A fighter. Look at me. I'm a fighter. No, that's what they said to me, like almost verbatim. They're like, you know what? Come down to the gym tomorrow. And I think they made me just like get on a treadmill in a sweatsuit and kick a bag a little bit. And like, and I was sold. I was like, I am a fighter.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it.
What was the appeal for you? Did you like the training and like, I mean, it's not.
I think you just kind of, you get this like mental goal that's just like in front of you, just like a person dangles a carrot, like, hey, on September, whatever, you're going to fight somebody. It's like, oh shit, I got to test myself.
Well, did you get into it? Well, I mean, when you start training, was the idea to train to fight?
Like immediately. I fought 3 months after I started. They like literally, Matt owned. This is so funny because we're all friends now. This is 12 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was, 10 to 12. I lose time. But Matt owned Ring Wars. So he was looking to match a fight when he found me, and I had never trained. Ever. Ever. And he's like, you'd be good. I know you could take this girl. She's just a flaunt model, but she did her own shit. And I was like, yeah. I didn't even know the rules. I kicked her in the face laying down. Like, we were in like the 50-50 position. And I kicked her in the face and I got the whole punishment thing. So hilarious. Oh my God.
Was she like, what are you doing?
No, we're friends now. She didn't, I don't know if she knew the rules. It's like, this was South Dakota and Wyoming. They weren't commissioned. The ambulance wasn't even there. This is like the old days. This is Wild Wild West fighting, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's
they
so
had to
fucking
call
crazy.
the ambulance.
Were you nervous?
Not at all. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't really remember nerves. I just remember being like, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
I don't really know. You know, because you're sold on the, you know, you're sold.
So you did that for a while, and then you made it to Denver.
So
Were you fighting in Denver?
I fought in Gillette for a while. I was 5-2 as an amateur or something like that.
Was it hard to find fights back then?
Yeah, because I was huge. So I cut to 145 always. And I always walked around closer to like 180. I'm actually walking around like 174, 175. I'm happy about that. But in my younger years, I just ate more, I think. I don't know, but I just was bigger. And I'd cut down to 45. And I didn't know what I was doing at all. You know, like I was like, what? And, you know, you starve yourself for 3 days and eat Reese's for lunch because you're just going crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't do it right for sure. But I don't really want to go to 145 anymore. It's a very low weight for me. And yeah, most of my career was at 145. And then they opened up the 155 stuff, you know, as the women's career grew.
And then you were like, thank God.
Thank God.
When did it start becoming a little bit more serious? And like you know, I'm sure after all these fights and your experience and the training and you're getting years into it, you're obviously, you know, building a skill set and understanding the actual rules.
Yeah.
And you're not, you know, when do you think you kind of look at it where it kind of started kind of turning over where you're like, okay, like I'm fucking doing this?
I think I always believed that I was going to do it good. And then I kind of, I've been sold and then unsold, you know, I was like, like I was sold on it. I'm like, you're right. I'm going to be the next champion. And then I'd be like, fuck.
What am I doing?
Yeah, what am I doing? And then you go through that emotional roller coaster. I think everybody has that in their life.
Yeah.
But, I just decided I like fighting, you know, like it's more like I was talking about it tonight at practice. I was just like, yeah, you know what? I've gotten to do a lot of cool shit. And if I get to do more, cool. I'm really excited about that. And I'm still into it. But, yeah, I don't know. When I decided that I liked it, I think I was, you know, sold again or whatever.
Yeah. When did you start moving out of amateur?
I got 5-2 and then I fought professional. So I think either in 2010, 2011, but I definitely fought that in a sanctioned bout in Denver. So it's Googleable, but I don't have that memory. Like I fought Summer Bradshaw at the Grizzly Rose, and I sold the place out.
Ooh, the Grizzly Rose.
Yes, it's a very famous place.
Yeah.
Like, there's line dancing there on Thursday. You can really hit
it's a very Patrick Swayze bar.
Oh, dude, it is. If you go there, there's, like, people playing pool in
Yeah.
the corner. Yeah, it's cool stuff.
The Grizzly Rose.
Yeah.
And then that was you said you sold the place out?
Yeah, I was bartending at the Old Man in Broomfield, and and it was just like I said, easy. You know, it's tickets. I'm making my pro debut.
Yeah,
you know, basically like I'm cool.
I got this.
Yeah, and then I won the first 2 rounds, and then she almost beat me in the 3rd round really bad. She I think her corner like told her, pick it up or you're losing, you know, because and then she did. I went to my after party with like 2 of the biggest black eyes. I barely pulled it off. But then I sold the after party out too. And that was like, it was really, really cool experience for a pro debut.
That's a crazy amount of work that you have to do outside of the actual training that I always forget about, where you have to sell the tickets, you have to sell the after party stuff, and like that's a lot to do in between bartending and training, and then
I used
keeping focused.
I used to do it, but I don't. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I used to do it, right. And like I don't do all the after party stuff anymore. Actually, now I know better. I'm like, I don't want to go fucking anywhere. I just want to go back to. I just want to go back in my room.
Yeah.
And but I used to do all that. I do like to sell support shirts and stuff like that, but I think it's important when you're definitely doing all that. Like, I think it's really important to put the time in your brand of yourself and like put yourself out there for your people to meet you, because they did invest in you in a way. Like, you got to make 10% off their $75 or whatever they paid for VIP. They brought out like their mother, sister, brother that all like believed in them because you told them that I was going to do good. So, I mean, the after party is nice to like go talk to people that want to be like, Brittney, great job. And it's like, you're well, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's like a really good thing to do. But just sometimes on the other side, I just try to book it maybe a day or two after, because I'm like a little emotional after a fight sometimes, or you know what I mean? And it's like, whoa, that's a lot to do right after a fight. So
Yeah, I mean, you explaining that is obviously showing growth as a person. Like, when do you think that kind of stepped in, where you kind of like, you know, were maturing as a fighter and kind of moving and just taking things and looking at it differently? I mean, you're obviously growing and learning from experiences.
yeah, I think that I fought LaToya Walker, and it was a really hard pro loss. I was doing well in that fight too, and I took an eye poke that the ref didn't see, and I've never happened to me before. You know, like a real bad eye poke.
There's so many things that I don't realize like that at all, like eye pokes. I see it on UFC all the time, but then to be someone who's never been eye poked and then get eye poked.
Well, I didn't even know what happened because I've broken my nose before in a fight, but the thumb went in my eye and back out, and I heard the noise in my brain, not my ears. It was like, and I was like, whoa. And I didn't know what happened immediately. Like, there wasn't a lot of pain in that moment, but my eye sealed shut, and blood came, like a lot of blood came out of my nose, and then blood was coming out of my eye. There was like one of my old famous pictures a long time ago.
Yeah.
And yeah. I didn't know what happened. And I was talking to myself in the fight, and I was like, my nose is broken. And then she hit me in the nose like 3 times. I was like, nope, it's not my nose, but I couldn't see. And I lost that fight, but then I had this huge after party scheduled after. And like, I had sold out this fight too. Like, I sold out a lot of tickets. I used to sell a lot of tickets in Denver.
I'm sure you're a very personable person.
Thank you. But I did well, and I made all that money. And then I booked the after party in Broomfield, which was a like 40-minute drive. And I had this like severe eye poke. My eyes still shut. I had to get an eye patch like for $7 at Walgreens and wear it.
Oh my God.
I looked like I was like in severe pain, and I had like all these people waiting to talk to me about the fight. And like, I remember feeling my headache behind my eye and thinking about maybe I should go to urgent care instead of talk to fucking Tiffany about, you know, how I did last night or this night, or is it tonight or last night when I, you know. Yeah. So that's when I learned that like, I don't like to do a lot of things or plan big things after. And, I usually, like, if you do well or anything like that, you'll navigate towards the people anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if something like that is planned, and you like sell out a bar or like get a, thing like a deal with a bar or something like that, it could go bad. And it did.
Yeah.
And,
there's like, that's another thing that you, like, I don't ever think about that, but you always hear the fighters be like, yo, after party. And then I was like, man, like, if you lose or get hurt, and then you have to now go talk to all these people that essentially want to like make you feel better, but you don't want to hear anything from anybody, and your fucking eyes all fucked up, and you got to wear an eye patch, and then you got to walk in and then put on this face that everybody's used to seeing bartending. Yeah. That's got to be some shit to carry.
I had a friend that got like super wasted, because your friends get emotional when you fight too. Like, they're really connected to like the situation.
Of course.
And he's just started screaming, one eye, like all night. And I was like, motherfucker, I'm going to give you one eye. You know what I mean? Like, you're ready to fight these people again by the end of it. Yeah. So you just learn that for me, when I fight, I'm emotionally attached to it, even if I try to pretend I'm not.
Yeah.
So
what makes you emotionally attached to it? Like, what do you kind of attach on to? Was it something from the very beginning, or is it something that you grew into, or like what kind of like draws that emotion in?
I think it's like an expression of yourself when you're in there, like a little bit, like when you're fighting somebody, you're like, obviously you could try to have a plan or anything, anybody tries to put on a cool face, but by the time you've been hit or fucking lose your eyesight and you're in the 3rd round, some shit happens in the middle of that. And you get emotional, kind of like emotionally, physically attached, or you go, that's what I feel like as you're growing as an amateur, you learn to like go past these boundaries. Like, am I going to go into the fetal position? Just let you, do whatever. Am I going to do this? Or, you know what I mean? And, pain causes a lot of emotions too, I don't know if I remember the pain after, or remember it in it after. I remember it after because it fucking hurts the next day. But those like zapping, realizing that you broke a bone, or all of a sudden you're like, can I see ever again? And I'm still not through the round, and I gotta wait to get checked out. Like you go through a form of an emotion in that expression of that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking when you were explaining that. I'm like, man, to break it down, and then to be in that situation, and then you have all these things going off, and then you hear that noise, and then now you can't see, and then I panic if I bump my fucking head against the door, let alone in the middle of a competition, and then you're not able to understand what's going on while you have to get through the round, and then get into another round. It's got to be hard to not just kind of fold.
I did the time that I think I've been hurt the worst, even though that eyeball was like the worst recovery.
How long did that take to get to the point?
It was sealed shut. I had an eye patch on for 8 weeks, but it was sealed shut for a good 5 weeks. It was sealed. I have a lot of pictures on my social media deep in the woods. But,
deep in the woods.
They're down there. But that was like when I fought LaToya Walker. So if you looked it up or whatever, it's definitely in all that. But I think when Bobby Joe Dazzle broke my arm and I was like, I'm retired, I'm mad.
Yeah.
She snapped my arm in 3 places with a kick that broke my ulna, and it wrapped around the bone. And I fought to somewhere in the 4th minute of that round, and she broke it in the 1st minute-ish. And I remember having that conversation in my head too. I was punching and my arm was going like and I was like, Brittney, your arm's broken. And then I was like, is it? And I was like, you could like, I don't know, because you're kind of feeling it out because she snapped it, and I knew that something happened, but when I threw the punch, you felt the bone separate and come back and separate and come back. And then I threw a couple hooks, and I was like, I don't know if it's...
Are you just not in pain because of the adrenaline rush?
I don't remember a pain until we clenched up and my corner yelled for a takedown. When her body weight shifted on it, then I was pain. That's what I mean. Other than that, I don't remember pain. I just remember, that's probably dangerous.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
So when back to, I'm trying to figure out where we were at with what fight level you were on and where you were at with no, you're fine. My attention span, we can go anywhere you want.
I didn't mean to. Yeah.
There's no format. So when did you start getting into like the higher level fighting?
Bellator called me on my way to work at the Old Man, and they had a dropout, and I was in my car like driving at 10 a.m. to a day shift at bartending day shift, and they were like, the representative said, yo, can you make 145 in 3 weeks? And I didn't even really know what I weighed at that moment. I was 177.
Were you fighting regularly?
Yep. I was pro. Sorry for like yelling in the mic.
No, you're totally
okay,
fine.
Cool.
You can apologize to the listeners.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was definitely pro at this point, and I remember driving in my car, and they called, and I said yes without even really knowing what I weighed at that moment, or what 3 weeks away I could lose. And I was 177, and I had to be 145 or 146 because they give you a pound. And I cut like 32 pounds in 3 weeks and fought. I cut my hair off for the last 6 ounces on the scale naked.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was awesome. Because I was like, my coaches were like, you can't, we couldn't make weight. So we got on the scale, and they were like, we'll support you, but you have the option to chop your hair off. And I did.
What's that phone call like? Because at that point, like you said, it's been hard your whole career to get fights. Women's mixed martial arts probably wasn't that big at the time, or was still growing. Yeah. So to get an opportunity to go over to Bellator, I mean, it was
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you would have said no.
Yeah. That's why my coaches were like, you did so much in this. I was 146.6, and that's why, is because you had to fight at 145 to get those fights. And so, I mean, they became more there, but it was the 145 division, and that's why you definitely wouldn't say no to that fight. I mean, yeah, that's what I think was my entryway into getting a little bit more into those platforms. And then I think I had, if I remember right, and I might be wrong because I forget shit, but I had like a 3-fight contract with them. And then Kayla Harrison was coming up, and I got a call from a friend in fighting. Her name's Brianna Fasori. She fought for a long time, and
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt. Do they offer a contract when they're like, look, if you take this fight, we'll give you 2 more because you're risking, or like because it's short notice? Or
nobody
they just
said that.
Yeah.
They just bought 3. I if I remember, it was just like there was no negotiation like you.
Yeah.
They just said we book you for 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
They did.
So I mean, it was even more appealing then because you're getting more than one fight out of it.
Yeah. And then they let it go. My old boss helped me get, I don't really even know what fucking happened, but PFL got the contract for Kayla Harrison after that. And nobody wanted to fight Kayla. And I was like, yeah, I'll fight Kayla. And I didn't even know who Kayla was. I should have done my research, I actually thought that I could have beat her. And I think that, everybody wants to think that they're the best in the world. At that time, I thought I would have gave her a better chance. I'd like to give her a better chance, but I mean, she's probably fighting right now.
Yeah,
tonight. She's the main event. But PFL bought. I don't know what they did, but they negotiated my contract with Bellator, and I didn't ever complete that contract. And then I just went to PFL, and then now I'm not really under contract with anybody. I had 1 fight contract for Kayla and 1 fight contract for Clarissa.
What was the Clarissa that fight? Like, how did that whole thing happen?
Well, I had been retired because my arm, this arm experience was quite.
That's when you were like, yeah, I'm done.
I'm mad.
Yeah.
I'm mad.
What were you mad about? That it got broken?
I was so mad that I was like, I know I'm good, and I just have performed like shit. I'm like the gym hero, I'm training with a lot of incredible people, and I don't think everybody takes it off on me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like I test myself often, and I think I do well. Some days I have bad days and I suck and I cry about it alone. But normally I'm like, nah, I got this guy. Fuck him, and fuck that dude, And so I know I'm better than I've performed. And I don't know what I was mad at. I was just blaming MMA, maybe. Because it was something that it was easier to blame than myself. But bad performances, I guess, maybe. And my arm was broken in 3 places.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot to carry, though, where you you get your arm fucked up like that, and then and then you have the loss, and then, it's a lot to hold on to in the moment.
I think I went through an identity crisis when I actually was like, I'm retired. I think I was like, because we identify so much with fighting too. We go to practice every single day. My regimen changed incredibly. I used to do I used to train with the fight team always. I went to 100% jiu-jitsu. I think I just navigated depression leaving that. And I also just blamed it at the same time. I don't know how. I understand it better now than, hindsight's always 20/20.
Of course.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I just was unhappy with, I was like, dude, every time I get to these pinnacle points, I just fail, so I was like, fuck. And then I just went 100% in jiu-jitsu. I started touring with Fight to Win, and I went 19-9 on their stage with Fight to Win. And I did a bunch of other stuff in between that too.
What drew you to just doing jiu-jitsu and that's it?
Because I just enjoy performing. I just like to get on the stage and fuck around a little bit, you know what I mean? And get a little mat burn and be like, ha ha ha. Maybe bruise somebody. I don't know. You know? But it's just kind of fun stuff. And I just, I was with a real fun crew. Back when we were touring, we were like jiu-jitsu carnies, Seth Daniels brought that stage around the country, and I got a free ride to every state and got to perform. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'll just do this, Yeah. And then, I was working a door because I've been in events at this point for 5 years. I've been in events before I retired. I was only retired for 2 years. And Ray Sefo called me for Clarissa Shields, and he gave me the rundown. It was on April Fool's Day this last year. And
do you think he was fucking with you?
I did. I was like, fuck you, dude. I was like, you fucking with me. And I was like, it's April Fool's. And he was like, oh, yeah, it is. But no, this is dead serious. And then he wanted me to answer it before we got off the phone. But I really could have answered it because I couldn't find it. I'll look and I'll try to find somewhere that says no. It did. Nothing did. Nothing was ding. They were all just like, just do it. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll fight her. And then
What was that feeling like?
It was like, I was like, fuck it, I'll fight her. And then I was like, what am I doing?
You're like, hung up and you're like, yes. Then you're like, no, fuck. What are you yelling for?
I was like in my car and I think I did. I yelled in my car and just like, ah.
Yeah.
Just going insane. But I mean, like, fear isn't what I'm talking about. It's just like it's a huge commitment to those fights. Like, you're taking on this champ. I knew what that fight was before they made a main event announcement. I was very honored that they made us main event. But I already knew it was going to be a big deal, and I was like, this one probably going to get more attention than the Kayla one. Because at that point, Kayla obviously gets the amazing attention she deserves now and everything. But she was just coming up and like she got a ton of attention then. But like, I don't know how to explain it. There's just more heat on it. Than I don't know. Every time it grows, you know what I mean? So this one was a big fucking deal. It was a lot of fun. But
what was the build up to that like? Because you had to get back in. I mean, we were doing the jiu-jitsu, but now you have to.
Oh my God!
You have to go back to this.
We had 9
whole
weeks.
thing that you were doing before.
So I was still on tour.
Well, did you have like a contract that you had to finish out on tour?
No.
And then do training at the same time? How much time did you have when they called? Was it last minute?
9 weeks.
It's better than what you got last time.
April 1st to June 10th. But I was lower weight, and it's 155. But yeah, I hadn't sparred for 2 years. I hadn't sparred since I broke my arm. I hadn't mitts. I didn't hit mitts for the fucking training.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I threw a tantrum about mitts. I was like, I'm not doing it. and then one of my friends was like, you don't get to skip this part of the fight. And I was like, oh, you're right. I gotta fight. So it just was a lot. The fight camp's a lot. It's a profession. It is a real profession because it's a lot of dedication. And I did my best. I didn't spar 2 of the weeks.
Did it fuck you up getting back into it?
No, I think it was the happiest I've been in a long time.
Yeah.
The happiest I've been in a long time. And then, like, I was having a blast. And then I was like, I might win this shit. And then, I had a overall great experience. And now I want to fight again. So before this, I was retired. And now I haven't missed fight practice. Even, like, the week after, I was like, all right.
So you're back in, like...
I'm ready to.
In it.
I want to look at some things. I would love to fight again. I would love to be in like the next tournament. How fun would that be? I would like to stay 55. I don't want to cut 45 again. I'm not in the wild west anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not taking fights behind my coach's back and stuff. I'm just like,
well, you've grown as a person as well.
Yeah. So I plan on fighting again. Yeah. I'm 35. I'm 3-7. But I mean, I don't think I've ever fought to my full potential, and I just recently did the best I've ever done. So I think that I have a lot to offer. What
was it like coming out of that when it was over?
I was horribly depressed. I don't remember my fights. I actually watched it with Zach, my head coach, the next morning, and then I was like, oh. But I think I cried. I was like, I did sucked. Because I only remembered losing. Like, I didn't remember the first 2 rounds where I did good. But I just remembered like, why wouldn't I let go? And like, you can fall backwards on the wheel real quick when you're depressed about something.
Yeah.
All of us know that. And I just wasn't happy. I was like, I was certain, I was set. I was again sold. I'm going to win. I don't know what that mentality is. It's hard to admit you didn't.
Yeah. I had struggled with my own depression issues, let alone, what you would have to do to watch that, but then you also have to separate the depression because you have to learn from the mistakes, and then you also, if you plan on getting back on the horse, put all the bullshit aside. What's that? I mean, you've done it, and it was interesting when Zach was on to start learning how. It's the stuff you don't see, you don't hear, and that's what's interesting to interview is like how you have to pick yourself back up from that. How do you even look moving forward with it? I mean, does the getting back into training knock the depression down because you're doing something you absolutely love, so you're building yourself back up through it, but then at the same time you have to be realistic on what you fucked up on? I mean, even saying this out loud, there's this really fucking weird hangout area. You guys are crazy.
Yeah. Well, I think you said it really good. It definitely, when you have something to drive forward with, it's like, oh, thank God I have something still to go towards.
Yeah.
You know, like, cause like we are fucking crazy. You want to talk about crazy? We're fucking nuts. You know what I mean? But I love it.
Yeah.
I love being crazy. Because it's been a great experience.
Well, like I compare it to like this. Like this is what makes me normal. So like when my shit gets fucked up or like something happens, I come back here. And every time I come back here, this fixes it.
Yeah.
Is that similar to where you guys get back in the gym and then it's kind of like, all right, we're back on track, and then you kind of get focused and you kind of like use this as a level playing ground for life?
Most definitely. I think, but accountability is a huge part of it, because I've been through that experience. Is more happening to me now, where I accept, like, I have, I can't blame MMA anymore. You know what I mean? I got to blame a couple things in myself and face it. And then the gym helps me face it. Yeah, the most definitely, expose yourself to just actually facing it. Yeah, I like going back to it. And then if nothing else, I do have jujitsu. So I cradle myself through my depressions in forms of the things that bring comfort,
Yeah. How long did it take you to learn that that's what you needed to do to kind of deal with the depression and kind of move your emotions around?
I mean, I'm still learning, but I definitely maybe with that whole bar scene too, following that, like, I definitely am an emotional person, or like I obvious with what I think I feel. I think I wear that well or whatever. But we talked about it when you're in the bar scene, you can fall down that depression wagon, you know what I mean? And then finding this, it just was easier and a more happy experience to go to that than to go into a dark, gloomy place and see whiskey at the end, And so I don't know. It just happened. I don't know if I've ever been asked that before, so I don't have like a thing. It just over time happened that, I feel sick if I don't go. Like the other night I was at home. It was like, maybe I'll be late or maybe I'll just stay home. And I was like, oh shit, I should probably just go. And then I end up going and I feel like way better. I live in like a little self-guilt when I just don't try to push myself to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
So it brings a form of comfort. I don't know how to explain it other than
No,
that.
I mean, when you were kind of comparing it, it's like I said, once again, to like kind of like how I get into this, like where if I don't do this, like I don't feel right. So like then, and in the beginning, like it took me years. Like I started this when I was 28. I was sober when I started it. I did that for 10 years. Then I went back to drinking. And then now I just like, that isn't a part of my life anymore. And like, this is what I've become. But like in that time, especially when I was sober, like I didn't realize that like I was doing this out of like repetitive habit to get away from something. And then when I kind of like realized what happened when all the dust settled, I was like, oh, this is like a thing that like I have to do in order to like function on a daily thing. And I think that's like super important to point out, especially with like kids and people like getting into mixed martial arts or jiu-jitsu, is like you don't realize when you're young that it's something that you can use as a tool later to kind of like really like level out like mental stuff and like depression and like kind of really get you out of like especially if you're not enjoying your life.
Well, it's just like some people, I don't know, it's formed disconnection. Like you can disconnect from your life and pay attention to something and then have a physical experience that's form of therapy too when you like,
put.
Yeah. And so then like you can literally watch yourself grow, and like anybody from like a person with a missing limb or a person that's not able to do a lot of other things can be there on the mat laying down and learn something and navigate their bodies through it. So I think it just like lets you disconnect from like, oh shit, Susie was talking a lot of shit about me today. Fuck that bitch. And then like, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. That person's talking about this. I'm going to listen for a minute. So yeah. And then it's like, as you give yourself that time of allotment to just be like, okay, I'm disconnected from my world. I'm checked in here. The mat is that like check-in spot. And And then it's like, the other thing I think that I've noticed is like it brings a lot of equals. Like you'll have a whole bunch of different people of position, like you're a podcast host, and then you'll have like a police officer like head ranking on the mat with you, and then you'll have some stoner dude, and then you'll have like the stoner dude's kicking the fucking police officer. It's like it's like an equalizer. The mat is an equalizer. We're all equal and we're all learning together. So like I don't know what kind of therapy that brings to it. Just brings a bunch of people of a different like reigns of place.
Yeah, and I think everybody's there for a different purpose, or is for doing something for their own path of what they're going on. But it's cool, even being able to talk to you about this, because sometimes I don't. Like, I have my own issues and shit, but then you've been very open with like depression and shit. And then I started realizing like how much that's got to be to carry that loss, and especially on like a higher level. And then like, I never looked at it until Zach and then now you, because your guys' interviews were so close, is like, you then to be done with that and be like, no, like I want to finish what the fuck I started. And then like what I started when I was 28 till now, like when we were talking, is totally different. But like I had somebody say to me once, they're like, yo, like you're not going to stop doing this. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, because my therapist always like, you get to your goal and then you push it out further. And then like, so for you guys, it's got to be super difficult on that competitive level to have to swallow that and then pull yourself back up and be like, no, I'm doing it again.
It definitely is an overcoming every time, because like you'll have just like any sway of anything where anybody has a sway in like their decision making. They're like, Brittney, should you be doing this again? And it's like, yes, I'm doing it again. Yeah. And you almost have to like reconvince these people to, I don't care if they buy the tickets. I would love them to come. But like you almost have to reconvince the people to buy the sale of you doing it again too. Because when I call my mom about Clarissa, my mom was so pissed. She didn't talk to me for 2 days. She didn't talk to me. She didn't answer her phone. And then when she calls, she goes, you don't care what I think anyway. And then hung up on me.
Those are the best mothers.
Yeah. And she's like, you're just going to go put yourself out there in this dangerous place. Click. So it's like, I don't even know why I told you that, but it's just funny, like what you go through. It's a whole thing. Like,
yeah, because it's not just your self-doubt, then you have people doubting you. I've had so many people, especially, well, my family wasn't really on board with this. My brothers were, but then you start having the conversations with them where like, they just kind of like crack open a door and they're like, yeah, but like if it doesn't work out, like, what do you think you would do? And I'm like, what do you mean? This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this stupid stuff anymore. And then they'd be like, well, like if he would offer you more money, don't you think it'd be better? Like that was their big thing. And then when I got the job at the post office, like my mom was like, that's all my mom ever said. Like, I didn't go to college. I was just always doing dumb stuff. So like, it was always like a big deal for me to have like a thing.
Yeah.
Like he's in.
Yeah.
He doesn't get fired. He can ride it out. So like when I actually like called them, cause I went, like the term postal is like real. Yeah. So like they basically wore me out, and I like broke down on the side of the road and like had to call my parents and be like, hey, like I'm not mentally sound and like I'm going to leave this job. And then my mom even then was like, well, what do you think about tomorrow? And I'm like, hey, like, like, remember where we were in Virginia? We're here again. And they're like, okay, come home. Yeah. But like, for that was such a hard thing for me to even do, because that was something they wanted. And then it wasn't until I did this on my own and like kind of went all in. And now I don't really listen to anybody. Yeah. But you still have to close those doors when people, like there's still people doubt me on things that I do. Oh. And it sucks because I'm my biggest doubter. Like, I had to do all this to just even have self-esteem and put on this production. I don't need you telling me, well, you could do this or you could do that. It's hard. It's hard.
It's really hard. It's funny though, this last fight with Clarissa, I finally sold my mom. I mean, I sold my mom finally after this whole experience. When I started, my mom called me after the fight and she's like, your dad's so good. And then she's just like, she's like, now I see why you do this. And it's 12 years later.
Yeah. But what was that conversation like?
Oh, I mean, it always makes you cry. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like things like that. But I think that just means that I did good once. I'm not like, I don't think I'm good, but I mean, I performed well. And that's what like is I mean, you want to win for sure. But like if you did well, people notice, and like they're not just always doubting you. I think I would have more people be like, okay, let's see what Britt's got this time. You know what I mean? Than the last time. So I think I'm having a better experience overall, because maybe just my mental's better for the next one. I don't know. We'll see.
So you pick yourself back up and now you're deciding you want to fight again.
Yeah.
Like where do you want this to go next?
Oh, I mean, it would be, I don't know. I would like to fight. I fought a lot of them. I would like to fight in the tournament. I like the tournament setting. at the PFL offers. Like,
how does that PFL tournament setting work for anyone who doesn't understand it?
They work their way through to the $1 million champion over a season. And I think there's a point thing I still would have to, like, I've never been in the bracket. I've been showcase bouts in it.
Yeah.
So, like, I've just watched it on the outside. But there's, like, a first round finishes. It's all about points and, like, the way you finish. And you win more by, like, a point setting than, or, dominating. I'd still have to learn. We're learning together. But I'd like to be in the tournament. I know how tournaments work, as you progress your way through. And I think that setting's kind of fun. I think you get to know the fighter a little bit over time. Like they get to fight this fight in front of you, and that fight might be versus a striker, but how do they fare against this kind of fighter? And so it kind of it challenges you. And now I feel like I'm more well-rounded. I can attack these challenges with better plans. So that's how. And
you've been training nonstop ever since the last one?
Yep.
Yeah, because when I first started following you on social media and shit, like you're in this shit every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in it and that's how I always ran my life. I just it's a lifestyle. And so even before I picked up MMA, I was always doing jiu-jitsu that long, I was always Compound where I came from, the gym that I moved here from. Our practices were set up just like that, like a 2 or hour and a half practice and then competition training and then open mat. You just end up staying there for 4 hours because that's what we do. And it just, you guys, the East Coast definitely has different form practices. I think that's just where we are, but the 2 hour long practice and then a 2 hour long practice, 4 hour practice. And yeah, I've been in them and I've been having fun. So
how do you pick up a fight now?
I always have just been offered stuff.
Yeah.
I literally haven't done much to go. I never hassle promoters. I sometimes ask, I'm like, think of me. I always wanted back. I was like, why didn't Invicta ever call me? Or, I used to always worry about that, but I don't have a manager. I've always done my own marketing. I have a couple good friends that help me, just assumably you have good friends that help you navigate things you've never learned. But
yeah, I don't know how to work any of this stuff.
Yeah. So I have good friends that have definitely guided me and given me advice in times and stuff. And that's worked well for me. So I kind of a sit and duck right now. But I have a lot to work on for myself. And if I don't find something, I'll start asking some questions or start poking bears.
I want to start wrapping up just because I don't want to make you have to go home at 2 a.m.
That's cool.
Will you please tell the bail bond story?
Oh, yeah. I worked at, no. So I was fighting in Denver and I just had Diego and Donna. They own Zorro bail bonds and they were just obsessed with MMA fighters.
And Zorro.
Zorro, I did a photo shoot in the Zorro costume with the cape and everything. It was fucking awesome. I had the cool glasses, but he spent a lot of money on the mask and he made me give it back.
Unbelievable. Yeah, how cool would that be?
The hat was super cool too. But no, Donna and Diego were a bail bond company, Zorro Bail Bonds, and they just thought I was the coolest shit ever.
They found you at a bar?
No, they saw me at a cage fight.
All right.
They saw me fighting and they were like, that girl, we're gonna take her under our wing. And I can't exactly tell you how we graciously met, but yeah, they started just being like, come along with us. It was so funny because they drove a Winnebago around everywhere. They had a home and everything, but they drove a Winnebago from
I'm picturing like Breaking Bad meth style Winnebago.
It was like a shitty Winnebago.
Yeah.
And it was Diego.
I did not picture a new one.
They were awesome.
Yeah.
It was Diego in a Winnebago is what I always used to say. It was like, I'm going with Diego in a Winnebago. But yeah, he taught me a lot of stuff, and I thought it was so cool. There's something that comes with the bail bonds thing. It's just like I have pose. I put my thumbs in my belt, and I'm like, I'm fucking cool. I still have my badge on my wall. But
did you have to get like tactical pants?
I had a lot of tactical stuff that I didn't know how to use.
Yeah, I wish Jesse was here. It sucks. The time there was another bail bondsman on.
They took me everywhere though, and then I got my own bail bonds license, and I
Well, you have to get into the part where the schooling.
Oh yeah, no. So
that was the best part of the story.
Yeah, so I failed the test 10 times. Like I literally went there. You have to pay for the test every time. Like I think I paid as much as people pay to go to fucking basic school to go take this test.
You're like, I still have debt.
And Diego, he speaks the fancy kind of like the one with a like fancy accent Spanish. He has like a fancy accent with it, and he's I don't know exactly where he's from, but he has a very suave accent.
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like, I came into this country and I didn't speak any English, and I passed this fucking test. You can pass this fucking test. I think I failed 2 more times and then I passed the test. But it's a hard test to pass, or maybe I just can't understand verbiage or I don't pay attention well.
No, I would think it was probably it's probably a difficult test.
It's like casualty insurance test. You have to have your casualty insurance test.
I don't even know what that means.
It's just you have to evaluate casualty. You have to evaluate loss. Whose fault it is.
Yeah.
And then, it was an interesting experience, but he took me on a couple. So the bondsman gets to hire bounty hunters. So they can hire who they want, but they work under the bondsman license. So if you hire John Smith and John Smith kills a guy, you're the one in trouble for it. Or at least that was like what I've learned. And they took me along, and I'm not licensed. I'm not anything. But we were in this incident, and this guy was just acting up, and everybody was getting scared, like, hey, I got pepper spray.
You're probably like, finally.
And I jumped on him. Yeah, I jumped on him. I attacked him, and his friend starts hitting me, and they were like, don't hit her. It was just such a thing. They didn't even know what to do. I responded faster than them. They were like, don't ever do that again. Don't ever jump on somebody again. So I learned a lot, and it was a ton of fun, but I was terrible at it, and I lost my business.
I can't wait to cut that into a promo. So you worked with them, and then you started your own.
So I worked with them.
What was the name of your bail bonds?
Jailbird Bail Bonds.
All
I think
right.
you can still Google it, and it says MMA fighter turned bail bondsman. It was in the yellow pages. I've met so many people through bail bonding, and it's so funny because they have to check in with you. They're like, hey, bail bond check-in. They learn about you, too, as you're learning about them. And I was like, I'm fighting soon, so hurry up, John, you stupid fucker. And, like, I'd say stupid stuff like that. And so some of them still chime in. They're like, they'll still be on my Insta or something like that. It's really funny. But, yeah, it was an awesome time. I still have my journals from it. One day I'll write a book or some shit.
You keep journals?
Oh, my God. And I'm insane. But, yeah, definitely.
Well, that's cool, though, that you have all that, where if you did want to write a book, you'd be able to go back and there's probably so much crazy shit in
it's
there.
Hilarious. I don't know why I keep a couple of those like with me everywhere, but I have a couple in my storage.
Have you always wrote?
I've always just wrote journals, like since I was a kid. Like I used to be like, dear diary, I hate Susie.
What did she ever do to you?
I don't know. It just sticks in my head. I'm mad at that bitch. I'm freaking mad. She stole my McDonald's or something. I don't know. But yeah, I always have done that. I still do that. I literally usually always have one in my hand, and then I tape. One thing I do with shows, I'm insane. God, I'm insane. I take my show.
We're getting along. Guess what? So am I.
And like anything like that somebody's like left or right on at the show, I take it and I staple it in the show book. I have show books, and then I always do an autograph book for any, like shows that I work. I just at least pencil line.
How'd you get into doing that?
So Gillies at Dallas, Texas, because I was on tour for like 5 years with Fight to Win, and we'd always stop at Gillies. And if you go into the back of the Gillies main event venue in Dallas, they have a ballroom, and there's an artist in the building that paints for every show that they do. Like Machine Gun Kelly's one of the new ones, or like anybody that they've done. It's just this glorious room of posters, and then they have the artist sign it. So on tour, I was like, dude, we're at all these shows. I'm going to start designing our own Fight to Win poster. And then I would just get all the athletes to sign it. And now, like, I'm doing wrestling shows, comedy shows. I'm setting up for all kinds of different events, boxing, all this stuff. And I go around and get everybody to sign it. I have, like, books and books of signatures.
What do you do when you set it up? Like, are you a part of organizing it? Or are you just setting up the show? Like, what do you kind of do there?
So everybody like comes with you. So a promoter will usually come in and they'll be like, yeah, I want the stage right here. It's going to be fabulous.
I love your impressions of people.
They're always like, well, I always have to keep a straight face when they're describing their visions that they've obviously been thinking of all night. But then they'll be like, the monitors look pretty good. I guess we can keep them that way. And like, they'll give you all this advice on what to do. And it's like, I can't fucking do what you want to
Yeah,
do.
we're not
going
moving
to
anything.
change the whole fucking thing for you.
Yeah.
And then we'll just set it
You
up.
want smoke?
Yeah. We can do a lot. We can do more than smoke. Yeah, but that's basically.
I got lasers and smoke.
Yeah. So I'll be like, I got you, and they'll always have like, I want a VIP section here, where all the cool people are gonna hang out. I'm like, I got you. I know how to do that. I'll do that. I'll set a pool table by it too. And they're always like, yeah. And then they'll be like, this is exactly what I visioned. And I'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
No. So I think we do a really great job. I make jokes about it. It is hard to do. But it's just like taking somebody that comes in and describes a room exactly how they want it. And they're finicky. Some of them are more finicky than others.
Oh, I'm sure it's a nightmare when you get stubborn people.
The lighting guy, I'm trying to learn one thing at a time. One thing a show. He's awesome. He's incredible. He only wants like to teach me and stuff like that. He's like this little geek nerd, and I shouldn't say that about him. Mike's awesome. But he always like, he's like tweaks and stuff, and he's always like, this is why we do this. This is for live broadcast. This is the way
Lighting's difficult to learn.
Definitely.
I'm still
it's a lot.
trying.
So I try to just pick up.
If anyone touches any of this, I yell at them.
Yeah, I don't do anything with lighting. I'm like an assistant to that. I'm never the
But
person.
it's huge to learn it. People don't realize like the reason all this looks this way is the lighting.
Yeah.
Like if we didn't have any of this lighting on, it'd
Exactly.
look terrible.
And the people that are the most finicky in production are live broadcast people, because it takes so much work. So
Yeah.
those are, you just try to accommodate. I guess we'll get a black linen. Oh shit, we don't have any. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Burgundy works well.
we try to accommodate everybody really well. It's funny because like the venue's filled with a bunch of like things that are basically like a movie set, you know?
Yeah.
And you just put it together for them.
That's awesome. That's another thing to learn that it's like such a skill set to learn. And like, that's something huge to, I mean, cause you've been around it your whole life, and then to be now learning it, down the road, you know, like learning all this stuff is now I can go to the headquarters and do a podcast in Zach's office, and then now I can pick up work doing that. Like it's a huge skill set to learn production and lighting and all that stuff.
I'm doing that, but my main job is staging, taking a guy's vision and making a stage like that, setting up their.
That's hard to do.
Super hard. Whether anybody thinks so or not, it's super hard. And,
No.
And then I'm like a floor setter up at like if we set down 1,200 chairs, I make it navigated well to like bars and places of sales, so that people line up for sales well and turn around. And then I basically assist a little bit of everybody. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I know a little bit about that. Okay, we got this, that. And during the show, I bartend. And then I go back and I do back operations. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Do you like bartending again?
It's been a lot of fun. I'm like, you know what is really hard is I'm from the country in Denver and Wyoming, and we have a whole different verbiage for like ordering drinks, and you guys have a whole different verbiage for it. Like you guys order, I want like not a sidecar, citywide, and like all these different like words. Like people are saying like Henny bomb, Henny's huge. In the boxing crowd, Henny's huge, and like just like all these. I'm not used to the verbiage, so I'm like the bartender that looks like I've never done it a day in my life. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Let me just hit Google, and I'll Google these things, and but I am having fun. And then a lot of the boxing crowd, because Philly's a huge boxing area, that I didn't realize how big a boxing was in Philly.
Yeah.
But it's humongous, and all the boxing crowd is starting to. A couple of them will recognize me each boxing show, so it's kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, so been having a good time.
I don't know anyone that I never met and laughed this much during a podcast before.
Cool.
I didn't know how this interview. Well, I knew it would be a good interview just because of just following your social media. And then, like I said, when we talked in the first couple of seconds, I was like, all right, this is going to be super easy. But you literally match exactly like how the 10th Planet guys, like Preet and all them. And like now I get they love you.
Yeah.
And it comes through because I follow a lot of them.
Yeah.
And how they showcase you and how you are, like it's exactly who you are as a person.
Thanks.
And you never know kind of like how you're going to meet it, but then to hear your story, and then you were brutally open about your depressions and things and the ups and downs, and This was so much fun.
Yeah.
You are one of my new favorite people.
Mine too. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
No, it was so cool. We laughed the entire show.
Yeah.
And it's just for that to happen and then not to know you, like it just shows you how awesome of a person you are.
Thank
where
you.
you're just like open and this is me, and you lived a very unique life that I don't even think you realize, where you just like did whatever the fuck you wanted to, and you're still doing that now. I'm so excited to see where your career goes, and when you fight again, and everything else that you got going on, because you're not just kind of blossoming in the ring. It looks like you're kind of building these other things outside, and it's cool to meet you and to see these things that you're doing, and then hear the story and just be able to see somebody who's not going to give up on kind of what they want in life.
Yeah,
so I want to thank you so much for coming on. I want to give everybody a chance, or I want to give you a chance to kind of just give your social media in any way anybody can follow you, or like kind of figure out what's going on with you.
Yeah. If you want to follow me, I use Instagram most, Brittney Elkin MMA, at Brittney Elkin MMA. But that's the same for Twitter and Facebook. I have an official...
Do you use Twitter a lot? I don't
Never.
understand Twitter.
I hate Twitter.
Yeah, same here. I love Instagram.
I do
Instagram's
too.
my
I just
favorite.
like
And then I dump it back over to Facebook.
I know Facebook. I'm like, actually, a friend was like, "Ew, gross." No, I don't. I use Facebook too, but I have a check page on Facebook that I never use, and then I have I just probably will only answer on Instagram. So Brittney Elkin MMA. And then just thanks to everybody who's got me here. There's so many. I mean, you could list, but we'll get on another whole topic of all these. But especially thanks to the 10 Planet guys for taking me in. They took me in for that fight, and they were like, "Come train here," and they've offered me everything that I needed. So it was cool.
Yeah, the amount of people that I've met through Zach and JM, and like the finishers rabbit hole, and like just the amount of, and I always tell them that community and everything that goes on at that school, everyone is so nice. No one's ever been rude to me. I'm like this weird stepchild of theirs, you know, the burger guy.
Yeah, I called you the hamburger friend.
The hamburger friend.
Yeah, the hamburger friend. I said, "Hey, your hamburger friend offered me a."
I feel like that is the only way I want to be described by people. The hamburger
That's
friend.
what I'm going to save you in my phone, hamburger friend.
Yes, I'm going to start telling people that's my name.
Hashtag hamburger friend.
Thank you so much for coming on. Please go follow her, check her out. Her Instagram's fun. They're doing all kinds of stuff on there, so it's not just like a boring thing. Like, you're active on there, and it's fun to follow along.
Thank you.
If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, first-time YouTuber, you can go to neveragainstudio.com to get everything Never Again on there. I've been fucking up closing this show. Awesome. I think since Zach came on, I've been fucking up closing. But if you go to neveragainstudio.com, that has everything on there for our apparel. You can sponsor the show. We have the audio, the video. Go to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube. Everything's Never Again Studio, Instagram, all that shit. Keystone Munitions hooked us up. We are now selling ammo at nazoammo.com if you need any ammo at all, and you are from the school, please contact Zach. Zach gets a kickback from that. He is our first sales guy on there. But if you need anything, nazoammo.com, neveragainstudio.com. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much.
We're done.
Okay, cool.
I fucked up closing this again.
Cool. I had a great time.
I believe it's